When the earthquake occurred, I was on the second floor of what we refer to as Building 8. And I was in someone's office and started to shake. And I distinctly remember having this thought, because we had published a paper several years earlier about the seismic potential of the Calaveras Fault. And we went out on a limb and said, here's where the next earthquake is likely to be. So fast forward to 1989, start shaking, and I thought for a moment, whoa, maybe we were right. But then started to really shake. And I thought, we had only forecast a magnitude 5.5. That should be over in about 10 seconds. And this was a whole nother creature. At which point I started to think, like, maybe I should forget about papers and, seismology and get safe. So I got under a doorway.
So at the time of the earthquake, I was in Walnut Creek, California, about 50 miles from Menlo Park. I'm a big A's fan, and I had gone home early to watch the third game of the World Series. I got myself ready. I poured a big glass of a nice Zinfandel. I put it on the kitchen table and sat back with my feet up, and suddenly the house just went boom, and I felt the first P wave come in from that earthquake, and then the whole house started to move. And I sort of said, "Earth," and my wife was upstairs, and she said, "Quake." And within 15, 20 seconds, the TV screen had gone all fuzzy, and then they came on and said, we're having an earthquake, and the game was called off. So that's the way it all started for me.
I was in my office at USGS, and I, at that time, had an internal office. I had just started working here a few months earlier. I had an internal office, so there was no window, and I remember all the lights went out, and I dove under my desk, and initially I really thought it was the Parkfield earthquake, because at that time we were all waiting for the Parkfield earthquake to happen. The Parkfield earthquake experiment was in full swing, and I was pretty sure this was it. And then the shaking got stronger, and I realized it couldn't be the Parkfield earthquake.
I was playing tennis with a colleague from here. We were about halfway through a set, and all of a sudden the trees started to make noise like birds were taking off from it. And then my feet started to move about a foot and a half, and then it stopped. It only went on for about 4 or 5 seconds, and then it stopped. And then my colleague looked at me and said, we're not going to be able to play tennis again for at least a month, so we might as well finish this. So we finished it, and then walked back to rode our bikes back to the survey, and we were gathering, everybody was sort of gathering on the lawn. Nobody was going into the building.
And I stopped at Lynn Rody's Burger King on University Avenue to grab a hamburger, because that was going to be my dinner that night. And while I was standing in line after I'd placed my order, I saw my order coming out, and Loma Prieta rolled through. And the power went off, everybody was running out of the restaurant, and I realized if I didn't grab that hamburger, I wasn't going to have dinner.